Hi, everyone. This is Sadie from the Promise program. I am one of the acting student services technicians here at Promise. You can find me in A313 anytime we're open, and I'm here and happy to support you. I am a former City College alum as well, so if you have any questions about what it's like to be a student at City and to transfer successfully from City College, please feel free to reach out with any questions. This recording was filmed on July 20th, 2026, and will be covering all the essential information that incoming students for the fall 2026 semester will need to know to be able to succeed in their first semester here at college and in the Promise program. Will be Alrighty, folks. So if you are watching this from home, it can be easy to tune out on a video presentation like this. I really strongly encourage you to pay attention, put your phone away, and just lock in for this time while you're here with me, just so that you don't have any other questions or miss really important information that could make or break your time in the program. So first and foremost, what is Promise? We are a 2-year completion program designed to ensure that students complete their goals, regardless of what that goal is. At City College, we offer certificates, associate degrees for transfer, as well as the bachelor's degree in cybersecurity. So any program that you're in, we are here to support you in those 2 years. How do we do that? For 2 years, we pay for your tuition and health fees. This stacks on top of any other financial aid you might be eligible for. Income eligible students also receive $200 book grants each semester. You get access to events and workshops, individualized counseling and support from peer mentors. So we're basically just here as a team of people who are plugged into higher education and want to help you succeed there. So we have a financial component and then a holistic component because you have a lot of support here just to kind of help you know what's going on. So our team is small but mighty. We consist of 2 student services technicians, myself, and then Rachel Rojas. She is wonderful. You will see her in A313 as well. We have a designated counselor named Crystal. We do have one other counselor, but they kind of change from semester to semester. And then Clarissa Padilla is our director. So she is going to oversee the entire program. Over the summer, we're available for students from 8:30 until 5, Monday through Thursday. And during the fall, we're here Monday through Thursday from 8 to 5, and then on Fridays from 8 until 1. This schedule is going to take effect after August 17th and will be in this schedule until December 21st. As far as our counseling appointments, we have counselors on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. To book an appointment, students can call, email, or visit our office directly. We do have walk-ins, and we try to announce the schedule to students periodically, but always give us a call before you come to a walk-in just to make sure that there is no conflicts with that schedule for the day, as sometimes counselors may call out sick or things like that. When you book an appointment with us, we give you up to 3 no-shows before we refer you to general counseling. So this would be you book an appointment and you don't show up, or you don't join the Zoom link and you don't notify our office. As of right now, this is our current walk-in schedule. Again, this is subject to change, so we always recommend that you call the morning of before you come to campus. But on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, Crystal hosts them in the early afternoon. James hosts them in the morning on Mondays. General counseling is also available. Students can do in-person or online drop-ins in A366. For an online drop-in, you'll be added to a wait list and you will be called once the counselor is available to send you a link. We do also have a team of peer mentors. We have Rick, who is a former veteran, who's a current veteran student. He's in his graduate program at SDSU and transferred from City College, so he is an alumni. Vianney, she is a current student in her undergrad for psychology at SDSU. She's also a City alumni and was a former member of Umoja. We have Addie. She is a recent grad and transfer student to SDSU under their allied health and public health programs. She is a really great STEM resource. And we have Elisa Ojeda. She is a current student, both in Promise and at City, and she is under the film journalism and media production program. What do our peer mentors do? Well, you can meet with Rick, Addie, Vianney, or Elisa for one-on-one support, to apply for Promise or to check your Promise standing, to submit a petition, to navigate your different student learning resources. So like your student portal if you need help with registration, accessing your student email, accessing Canvas for classes, getting support with enrolling, renewing financial aid, really anything that's kind of college related, we are happy to support you with. They also have a text message line at 619-800-3464. So if you're not comfortable with giving us a call, you can always send us a text message. And here are just a few tips. So there's a lot that you could know about college that tends to get unsaid to students. So first and foremost, these are our tips made by active or recent graduated students that we wish we knew in our first semester. First thing, you need to have an updated ed plan to apply for graduation. An education plan is a fully articulated guide for your degree or certificate. It's developed by a counselor during a 1-hour meeting, and it will outline every single course that you need to take for your degree plan or your academic journey, and it will list why. So if you are a transfer student, for example, and your degree consists of general education, but also major prep for a specific university, it will clearly state in your education plan why you're taking a particular unit for what particular credit. Secondly, you should meet with a counselor at least once per year to keep up to date with curriculum changes. Sometimes students get their ed plan and then they just never speak to a counselor again. This is not recommended. The reason for that being what might have once counted for 1 year may change for the next. Now, that's not to say that we're going to completely change an entire semester worth of courses on you, but 1 or 2 classes could change as far as what is required from 1 year to the next. So for example, Health 101 used to count for a particular general education requirement, and now it no longer does. So it's important to talk to your counselor to make sure that you keep up to date with these changes so that you can graduate on time. Third, you can meet with any counselor to update your ed plan and or planner. There's counselors through Promise, EOPFs, City Scholars, the learning communities, Fuente, Umoja, Hubu, all these different programs have different counselors. And the thing with counseling is that they're people, and sometimes you get along with certain people more than others. Sometimes people just get you a little more than others. So we highly recommend find a counselor that you enjoy, that you have a good rapport with, and meet with them on a regular basis. Don't feel like you have to switch up your counselor every single time. Don't feel like just because you're in Promise, you have to meet with a Promise counselor. I highly recommend trying out a few different counselors and seeing who you like the best, who has the most knowledge about your program or about the specific industry that you want to go into. Now let's talk about program requirements. So every student for Promise needs to be a full-time student or at what we call full-time equivalency. So if you are a student that has unusual circumstances, such as a temporary or a permanent disability, you might be able to get that 12-unit requirement lowered to some other value. If you're in unusual circumstances that are affecting your ability to access basic needs, or perhaps like a health emergency that's causing you to have to put a lot of attention to things outside of school, we do have a petition for special circumstances. We'll talk a little bit more about petitions later in the presentation. In addition to being a full-time student, we want you to submit a financial aid application every year that you're in the program. So this could be a FAFSA or a CATA application. On top of these 2 non-negotiable requirements, students have to submit 3 assignments each semester. The first being a progress report. This is a simple form where you just let us know how it's going in your classes, how you're doing, if you'd like to access any tutoring, if you'd like to access a counselor, or if you'd like to meet with a peer mentor to ask questions. The other 2 assignments are going to be engagements. These are basically times where you have interacted with a staff member through City College. You can get these through a variety of ways. We'll go over what different things can qualify for credit, but just know that you can do a engagement activity for tutoring, office hours, an event on campus, maybe you watch an online workshop, perhaps you meet with a counselor. Lots of different ways that you can get credit for an engagement. Our assignments have distinct due dates. These can be flexible depending on if a large number of students need a slight extension, so just keep that in mind. But your progress report is absolutely going to be due October 30th. This one will probably not be extended unless you are a late start student. So if you are only taking late start courses, let us know and we can try to give you a later due date. And December 4th for the engagement activities. So that gives you the entire semester to interact with our staff at one point or another. Many virtual students get a little bit concerned about the engagement activities. I want to reassure you that anytime we do a workshop or some type of event, we try to upload an online copy to the Canvas shell. This will allow you to watch the orientation from home, or sorry, not the orientation, the workshop from home, so that you can write your engagement on that as if you had attended it in person. If you give our office a call and ask questions as well, we also consider that an engagement. So don't feel like it's too complicated to engage with our team. Really, it just is a documentation of the fact that you've interacted with us at one point or another. Why do we require these assignments? Well, first and foremost, we want to make sure that you're still in your classes. So we want to make sure that you haven't dropped anything, that you're not failing anything. We want to keep you in good standing with the college for the progress report. For the engagement activities, we've done a lot of research and we found that students that engage with their campus of record or the campus that they're attending do significantly better long-term. That includes classes, that includes overall sense of well-being while in college. It's really important that you show up in some way or another. So I strongly encourage you, take this opportunity as an invitation for you to participate in something outside of your direct classes that can help your overall long-term journey. And let's say you're a student where you're only caring about class. That's all you really want to do. That's fine. You can go to professor office hours or tutoring, or just give us a visit in the office to do some homework between classes or something like that, and you'll be able to get credit for this engagement. So these are some expectations. If you fail to meet an expectation, you will not be dropped from the Promise program, but we will check in with you. So I just want to make that very clear. The requirements are non-negotiable. Failure to meet the requirements, so full-time enrollment, financial aid application, and submitting your assignments, that can result in potential disqualification from the program. These ones are just recommendations that we have so that you have an easier time in college. So first and foremost, meeting with a counselor. This says once a semester. Realistically, as long as it's at least once a year, that should be fine. The reason we encourage you to meet with a counselor so often is A, things change, B, sometimes you need some encouragement, and C, sometimes you want to just test your goals against a third party so that you can make sure that you're really on track. You're really putting your energy towards something that's going to add up to your overall goal. Secondly, we strongly encourage you to have an education plan on file by the end of your first year. The reason for this is you will start to be required to have an education plan to receive financial aid, apply for scholarships, and engage in a lot of other activities on campus that could potentially result in you having more money. So I really recommend get that education plan on file. It will make it a lot easier for you to apply for scholarships, potentially apply for early graduation, and just keep track of your overall educational journey. Just because, like I mentioned before, it is a very detailed guide as far as what you still need to complete, what's in progress, and what you have already done. So highly recommend that. Additionally, maintaining a GPA of 2.0 or above. The Promise program does not drop students for having a low GPA. However, the financial aid office can pause the disbursement of your financial aid if you're not meeting that 2.0 GPA. So what that basically means is they delay your financial aid and put you on something called a SAP appeal. This is basically an appeal form where you explain why your GPA fell below a certain level, and until you submit that form and it gets approved, your financial aid does not get dispersed to you. So we strongly recommend try to keep a GPA of at least 2.0 so that you can keep your financial aid coming on time every semester. Now let's talk about petitions. For students that are in unusual circumstances but still want to be in the program, we offer petitions. These are received and processed by our district. Not every petition is granted. Petitions are approved on a case-by-case basis, based off of the information that a student applies on the petition. So I really want to make it clear when you're filling out a petition and it asks you to explain your situation, it's very important that you go into a lot of detail because this is the only information that the district will be referring to when they are evaluating your petition. So for example, if you're taking a petition for a leave of absence and you're trying to hold your place in the program while you take a semester or more break, you really need to tell them why. So it could be you have financial circumstances and you have to take on additional jobs because someone in your family maybe experienced an injury and they can no longer work, right? You want to give them as much detail as you feel comfortable sharing. Don't ever feel the pressure to info dump or to have to overshare, but you really want to clearly explain that you are actually going through a challenge. Otherwise, the district isn't going to know, so they're not going to approve it. It has to be pretty good justification. We have a website. It's hosted on our district website, so sdccd.edu. If you visit the Promise Petitions page, you'll be able to access the petition through element 451. All petitions, including DSPS waivers, must be submitted through element 451. Petitions that are emailed will not be approved. So we have a few different types. There's the DSPS waiver. This is going to be for students that are affiliated with our disability program. We have the reduced units for extenuating circumstances. This is for students in at least 6 units who are unable to hit the 12 because of some issue that they're having outside of school. So like I mentioned before, it could be an academic reason, a family reason, a financial reason, a health reason, but there has to be some type of good justification. A leave of absence. So this would be if you're enrolling in 0 units for at least 1 or more semesters. Reinstatement or readmission to Promise is when you're coming back from that leave. Late admission to Promise would be you missed our application window. So if you have any friends that wanted to be in the Promise program and just didn't hear about it before the application closed, there is the late admission to Promise petition that they could submit. And the transfer student petition. So this is going to be for students that did less than 2 years of Promise at a different campus and are now coming to City, Mesa, or Miramar. So if you started at Claremont and you did a semester of Promise, but you still have about a year and a half remaining, you could transfer into City College's Promise program and finish up your time with us. DSPS waivers are a little bit exceptional in the fact that DSPS waivers that are signed by a counselor must be approved under the ADA. So that would be the American with Disabilities Act. So this is one of the only petitions that absolutely will be approved as long as it has all of the proper signatures on it. So to get a DSPS waiver, students must first be affiliated with the DSPS program. So you'll need to submit an application to their program along with a verification of disability. You will then meet with a counselor to request a waiver for reduced units, and then you'll be able to upload it to the Promise program. If you ever have issues with uploading a waiver, you can always visit us in our office for additional assistance. We will be updating our DSPS and petition submission video very soon so that students have access to that as well to guide them step by step through the process of uploading that form. Just to review and summarize, because we already went through quite a bit of information, to stay in Promise each semester, so you're already in the program, you don't need to reapply, you just have to make sure you have a full-time schedule for that semester and you have a financial aid application for that year. So if I got into the program in fall 2026, I do not need to reapply in fall 2027. I just have to make sure that I have full-time enrollment and submitted a financial aid application for the next year, and I will automatically be renewed for the program. Students do not need to reapply once they have been accepted into Promise. If you are a former student that left the school and didn't submit a leave of absence petition, you would not reapply to Promise in that situation either. You would do a petition for readmission. Financial aid is a non-negotiable. The Promise program does not substitute for a financial aid application. Because we are considered a financial aid program, students must have a FAFSA or CATA on file for us to be able to cover the cost of their tuition and health fees. Financial aid applications renew every October 1st. So if you plan to be a student in fall 2027, spring 2028, or summer 2028, make sure to log into the FAFSA or CATA on October 1st. The priority deadline is March 2nd. we strongly recommend that you apply as soon as you can in the application cycle to receive more aid. So many students don't know this, but there's actually first come, first serve aid that is given out as part of the FAFSA and CATA. If you don't apply early, you might miss out on this, and it could be up to $2,000 additional per year. So highly recommend that you apply as soon as you can and get used to submitting the application before March 2nd. Once you transfer away from the community college level and go to a university, you have to submit it by March 2nd. So I like to get students into that habit early. And here's just a few college knowledge tips to make sure that you're doing well. First and foremost, scholarships. We have scholarships available in December up until the end of February, sometimes early March. We have hundreds of scholarships posted with one application, and assistance is going to be available. We also at the Promise program can write recommendation letters for students that have been in the program for at least one semester. So if you do need any assistance with filling out your scholarship application, we are happy to connect you to the scholarships office, as well as provide a little bit of insight and support while you're filling out the application or writing any personal statements. There are many different types of classes hosted in our district. We have fully online, online live, partially online, and on-campus classes. Sometimes you'll also see something called HighFlex. This is a type of class where it's basically a partially online course, but you can get credit from logging in online or coming in on campus. Every student has different academic needs. I can't really say if one of these types of classes is better than the other, because an online class for English might feel very different than an online class for math. So it really kind of varies, and it also varies by your skill level and how much you prefer to engage with other people. I will say, in general, students tend to perform better when they're doing on-campus classes because they are more likely to create friendships in those courses. They're more likely to get reminders from other people, and it's easier to keep on top of that time management just because it's built into the schedule. However, many students have to take online classes because of previous obligations they have outside of school. Totally understandable. I will say when you are deciding on your class schedule, we do have peers here that are helpful to help you build your schedule, choose times that work well, and choose modalities that work well for you. So I'll ask you a few questions about how you've done previously, what your preferences are as far as what you're looking for in a class, but just know there's lots of flexibility as far as how you build your schedule in college. Fun fact, City College is constructing over 600 units of housing. It's going to be along 16th Street, right next to the exit for the 5, and it's expected to be available by fall 2028. Hopefully there's no delays. But this is going to be for, I believe, full-time students that demonstrate financial need. They will be able to get a unit on campus. So we're going to be one of the first community colleges to offer dorms. It's going to be very exciting, and we're strongly looking forward to it. Fun fact, all colleges exist of several schools. So consider it like the arms of one wheel, right? Or the spokes on a wheel. The reason I wanted to point this out is because if you have to do a petition, sometimes it has to go to your dean, right? So each of these schools has a different dean. Arts, Humanities, Communications has one dean, Behavioral and Social Sciences has another. So if you're ever submitting a petition that needs to be signed by a dean, or you're ever told that you need to talk to the department dean, just know that there are 5 different schools with different deans, and you can always reach out to inquire about who's serving as the dean for that given academic year, and we can connect you to the right person. Fun fact, we serve over 13,000 students every fall and spring semester. Some of them are the same, some of them are different, but we serve a vibrant, diverse campus. There's lots of folks doing a lot of great things here at City College, as well as in the community around us. So if you ever have questions about clubs, organizations, getting involved in the community, feel free to reach out. Additionally, we also have an on-campus early education center. So if you have children, I believe between the ages of 9 months up to school age, there is on-campus daycare where you can drop off your child so that you can go to class, pick them up, and then you know that you have a student in, or you have your child on the same like grounds that you do, that you're taking classes in. So it makes you kind of have that safety of mind. And City College has a lot of famous, amazing alumni. One of our most notable founders who continues to donate a significant amount of money to us to this day is James Senegal, one of Costco's founders. So just know, even though there's a lot of stigma about going to community colleges, it's actually a really great path, and a lot of really successful people come from the community college level. I could think of Eddie Vedder, Cameron Crowe, quite a few famous like athletes as well. So just know there's a lot of great places that you can go, and City College is happy to get you started on your journey. Here's a really important date. Every student must be either at 12 units or have an approved petition on file by September 4th, 2026. So if you are not meeting that full-time schedule requirement or you don't have a petition on file by this date, you will be dropped from the program. So I really want to make that clear. By September 4th, which is the add drop deadline, you need to have 12 units on file. Okay, this isn't listed on this slide, but I also want to mention that the school has something called a financial aid freeze date. So this is basically the last day that your classes will count toward your financial aid award letter. So financial aid is calculated not only by your income, but also by how many units you're enrolled in. So to be a full-time student and receive the full value of your aid, you need to be in 12 units. The freeze date is, I believe, the Monday after the add drop deadline. So by September 8th, the classes that you're in, that's what counts for your financial aid award letter. If you end up dropping classes after that date, they may ask for some of your money back. So I really, really recommend any of you receiving financial aid, try not to spend it all until you are for sure in the classes, you for sure at least got an A grade for them. I really, really often see students, they end up dropping like a late start class, and then they go from full-time 12 units to part-time, and then the financial aid office will ask for half of their award money back. So I just really want to make that clear. Try to have everything like I's dotted, T's crossed by September 4th if you can. Here are a couple other important dates. So as I mentioned, the 4th is going to be the add drop deadline, which is the last day to receive and process class numbers, which are basically just codes that get you into a class. It's also the refund deadline. So if you decide you're going to drop your courses and take a leave of absence, make sure to do that by September 4th so that you can get all your money back. The last day to fulfill all promise requirements and remain eligible, that says fall 2025, it should be 2026, my apologies for the typo. September 10th, so you have to be a California resident, you have to have financial aid on file, you have to be enrolled, all of those requirements need to be met by September 10th, non-negotiable. The spring 2027 class schedule will be released to students on October 20th. Then priority registration will begin November 3rd. So priority registration is basically a time where students are given early access to enrollment. All students will be able to register, I believe, by December 1st. Winter Wonderland is a huge, really fun event that we host every year in December. We bring snow to campus. We do gingerbread baking, gingerbread house decorating competitions. We have a hot cocoa bar. It's a really, really fun event. It's very heartwarming. Many people bring their children, their family members. It's a huge event. We do like a scavenger hunt with lots of prizes. I highly recommend, if you don't attend any other events the entire semester, attend Winter Wonderland. It's going to be a really good time. And finally, all classes will be over by December 21st, which is the last day of the fall 2026 semester. Grades will be released a couple weeks later in January. And now let's go over some of your other options for resources on the campus. We just covered all the stuff for Promise. Now let's dive into the rest of the campus. So tutoring is completely free. We have a dedicated math and English center. They do in-person and virtual tutoring. They do one-on-one and group tutoring. So there's a lot of different options for you there. There's also e-tutoring for about 21 different subjects. So students can get coverage in whatever class that they might have. For the math center, they have tutors, access to technology like calculators, space to attend an online class, or if you're doing an online live Zoom course, you could do it there. Study areas so that you can prep for midterms, and of course there's their contact information. The English Center, it's called the English Center, but really they help with anything that has to do with critical reading and writing. So if you're in a history class, a cultural studies class, a humanities class, you can still get support with your classwork through the English Center. As I mentioned before, they have a variety of formats for tutoring. They also do workshops. And of course, we have that online tutoring. Part of our online tutoring system is that you also get access to something called e-questions. So this is where you could submit a question or a homework assignment so that you can get support with it within about 48 hours. They also have the writing lab, which allows you to get a essay, basically mock graded virtually. So these are options for you. The online tutoring is 24/7. It looks like it's 22 different subjects, not 21. It changes from semester to semester. But this e-tutoring is actually a partnership between City College and I believe a few hundred other colleges throughout the nation, so that you can get tutoring at different times because we have tutors operating in different time zones. So yeah, that's also a really, really helpful resource. You could wake up at like 4 in the morning and tutor with someone, or you could do it late at night if you're a night owl. So that is a great resource for students if we're ever closed on campus. We also have associated student government. This is similar to ASB at like the high school level. It's basically a student-led student governance board. So they meet every Wednesday on a weekly basis, and they decide kind of how the student's vision and the student's opinion can actually be executed on our campus. So for example, maybe ASG decides one year that we need to have better communications with students. They will meet with our administration to decide how we can actually bring that about, what that's going to look like for our students, and what our student needs are. So if you have an idea about how to make the campus a better place, I highly recommend attending an ASG meeting. If you join ASG, they also offer special discounts and privileges, such as scholarships that are reserved for ASG members. I know that they go to conferences and they go to events, they host events. It also looks pretty good on your resume. So if you're not able to get a job on campus or just a job outside of school, but you want something to put on your resume, ASG is very, very good for that. City College also has a basic needs center. This has multiple locations here on campus. They have housing, school supplies, transportation assistance, and nutrition assistance. In T150, which is the first floor of the T building, they have our food pantry, our Fresh Cuts barbershop, and our Threads and Things clothing pantry. I will say, the stuff that they have at the food pantry is actually high quality. Like many students, they think food pantry and they assume it's just like Lunchables or something like that. No hate on Lunchables, they're good, but it's actual like sustainable good food. And sometimes they partner with our on-campus farm to have fresh produce. Students can get food up to 1 time per day. They have ready-to-eat meals, snacks, drinks. They have hygiene products and even diapers that you can pick up once a day. And then to access resources, you just want to make sure you're enrolled in at least 3 units or at least 1 class, and that you have some type of ID card. So that could either be a government-issued ID or a school ID. You can take your photo for your school ID in A241, which is the Admissions and Enrollment Services office. For Threads and Things, also enrolled in at least 1 class, students can pick up gently used, oftentimes professional clothing that is tailored for interviews or potentially work settings. The barbershop is a really, really nice place. This was designed and piloted by our president, Ricky Shabazz, as a place for men of color here on campus. They have counselors available in this office as well as barbers, so that while you're getting your hair cut, you can maybe talk and vent about your problems or any issues that you're facing as a student. Since Promise is paying for your student health fee, you might as well use our health services. So the Student Health Center consists of 2 major components, our mental health and our physical health services. In our mental health counseling office, students can do individual, couple, family, or group counseling. As long as you're a student, your family members don't have to be. So as long as one of you is a student, you can still get those services. They're completely free, covered by your health fee. These are confidential as well, and the intake location for mental health counseling is in the same place as the physical health center. So if you end up visiting the student health center, no one will know why you're there. So never feel like, oh, somebody might have seen me walk in here. They might know I'm accessing these services. You could just be there for a Band-Aid and no one would know any better. They also can refer you to places outside of our campus. They do lots of workshops, lots of de-stress events. I really enjoy our mental health counseling center, and I highly encourage you, if you're having a bad day, you need to talk about it, vent it off your chest. It doesn't have to be an emergency for you to want to talk to someone. The student health clinic does any physical health, so we have registered nurses as well as a doctor that's on campus a couple times a week. They do health screenings, pregnancy tests, physical exams, and then certain more specialized services. There's a slight additional fee, but they try to keep it in an affordable range for students. You can also go for basic first aid. Like I mentioned, maybe you need a Band-Aid, maybe you need an ibuprofen, maybe you just need a little something. You can stop by the student health center and they can support you with that. And if it's something beyond their scope of what they can offer you, they'll definitely make sure that you get connected to somebody that's affordable and in your area. The EOPS program is really, really great. I highly recommend any current Promise students, if you're receiving like a book grant or you're eligible for the CPG waiver, highly recommend you apply for EOPS. This is a program that offers additional support for students that have historically experienced barriers, whether that be financially or culturally. They also are an umbrella program for the CARE program, so any single heads of household with children under the age of 17 are eligible, or next up for any current or former foster youth that were in the system for at least one day after the age of 13. They offer book awards, school supplies, they cover parking permits or MTS passes, ASG membership, they help with transfer. They're a really, really great program to get you to the finish line. The application actually is now open. It opened on July 15th, 2026. I believe it's going to close as soon as they hit their cap, so apply as early as you possibly can. Some other services to be aware of. We're not going to go into too much detail on these, just know that they exist. Our Undocumented Resource Center is for students that are undocumented or mixed status to receive support with counseling, financial aid assistance, and they also have free legal and immigration services. The Transfer and Career Center is a highly underrated resource. They offer a variety of workshops. They do fairs. They assist students with connecting to transfer universities or employers in our area. Really, really helpful. Our Career Center can even help you with resume building, job search. Really, really helpful. They can help you apply for a transfer, all that good stuff. Highly recommend you become their friend while you're here at City. The DSPS office, kind of mentioned during our petition section, is our disability support programs and services. They offer academic accommodations and access to students if they have any particularly unique needs. They also have an assistive technology center. So for any students that might have visual or hearing impairments, you can receive assistive technology there. The DSPS Center, I want to emphasize, is not just for students with permanent disabilities. Temporary disabilities can also receive accommodations as well. Enrollment services is going to consist of admissions, records, and residency. They're basically just here to make sure that when you get onboarded with the school, all the classifications that you have on file are accurate. So you're a California resident, you're considered a high school graduate, all of that stuff is on record as being completed. The Financial Aid Office, super key resource for many students. They help you apply for financial aid, check the status of your application. They oversee scholarships work study, which is a form of financial aid that involves students working at the particular campus they're studying at. They receive and process SAP appeals, and they can notify you about when your financial aid is going to be received through the disbursement dates on their website, as well as the direct emails that they send out to students. Finally, our Military and Veterans Office, they offer any assistance for veteran or active duty students, and some of the services can also be applied to dependent students. So if you served in the U.S. Armed Forces and you have questions about using military benefits, they can answer all of your questions in M101. They also have a satellite location in A241. And that covers all of our on-campus resources. Let's dive into some of the online tools that you'll be expected to use as a student at City College. First and foremost, Canvas. This is also called Instructure. So our school link is going to be sdccd.instructure.com. This is the platform that hosts all of your schoolwork. So if you enroll in a fully online art class, all of your art homework and the lectures are going to appear on Canvas. The Promise program also has a Canvas classroom for students where we notify them about important opportunities, events, and it's also the website where you can submit your progress report and your 2 engagement activities, which again are required assignments each semester. Outlook 365 is a business productivity software that we purchase for you to use with your student email. This consists of PowerPoint, Word, Excel, SharePoint, and a few other business productivity softwares that allow you to do your homework, upload it to a cloud storage system, and download and share it for your classes. My SDCCD is the portal that students can use to register, view financial aid, update their personal information to the college, or view any pending charges that they have on their account. Finally, some frequently asked questions. There are 2 things in our district that are called Promise, which is very confusing. There is the Promise program, which is the 2-year completion program we're talking about today, and there is the Promise Grant. This is a tuition waiver that's solely based off of income and can go for up to 100 units for students or 6 years, whichever one comes first. So this is a tuition waiver, so it kind of acts like the Promise program where it covers the cost of classes, but the Promise Grant has a separate application and separate eligibility requirements. It does not cover your health fee, and it does not feature all of the holistic services that Promise program does, such as counseling, peer mentorship, and so on. Promise, as mentioned before, cannot substitute for your financial aid application. Here's a side-by-side to show you the difference between the Promise Grant and the Promise program. The Promise Grant is sometimes called the CCPG or CPG waiver, formerly known as the BOG waiver or the Board of Governors waiver. It's now called the CCPG or the Promise Grant. Anytime you fill out a FAFSA or a CATA application, you are automatically screened for this grant. Sometimes students can apply for it directly if they are unable to submit a FAFSA or a CATA application and they are still deemed eligible for that. So I just want to give you that heads up. It covers tuition, it's paid to the college directly, and it's solely based on income. The Promise program, on the other hand, has its own application, runs for about 2 years, covers your tuition and your health fee, and it's based on your past college experience, not your income. So middle-class students that might not be eligible for the Promise Grant are still eligible for the Promise program. Students that drop below or do not meet full-time equivalency may be dropped from the program if they're unable to find a replacement in time. So it's really important that you maintain your schedule all the way through. If you're considering dropping a course, make sure to talk to the Promise program before you do so to discuss what the implications of dropping that course will be on your financial aid and Promise standing. If your degree takes longer than 2 years, unfortunately, the Promise program will not be able to extend your time in the program. This includes if you were taking part-time classes while under Promise. Promise runs for 2 years only under strict guidelines from AB 19 or Assembly Bill 19, which governs our program. So I really recommend to you, if you feel like you're going to take longer than 2 years or you know you're going to take longer than 2 years, try to save up your financial aid, explore other programs that might be able to give you additional aid, apply for lots of scholarships, because although we are happy to still give you counseling services and still support you in our office, we will not be able to extend out your tuition and health fee coverage beyond 2 years. Let's talk about book grants. Not all students get book grants, but those who are income eligible will see their book grant appear under their financial aid award letter as AB19 book grant. Sometimes it appears as Promise Book Award. It's $200 per semester. Only students that have financial need on their financial aid application will receive it. So again, not all students receive this award. It's active at the bookstore at City, Mesa, or Miramar, both online or in person. So you can do online or in-person purchases using your book account. When a student's book account is activated, they will receive an email from our office letting them know how they can do an online purchase and how they can do a checkout in person as well. So directions for how to use the award are sent to students, but if you have any challenges, you can always visit our office. Students that end the semester in good standing with the program, meaning that they submitted all their assignments, that they are still in 12 units or still at their full-time equivalency, they will receive the unused balance of their book grant. So let's say you get a book grant and you don't spend any of it because you have a bunch of zero to cost textbook classes. This balance will get cashed out to you at the end of the semester as long as you are in good standing. So you will receive a check for $200 if you don't spend any of it. Because it's based off of income, not every student gets a book grant. In general, if you didn't receive one, it's just because your financial aid award letter did not determine that you had enough need for us to grant one to you. Summer and Promise are a little interesting. So Promise is a full-time success program. That includes summer. So unless you're in 12 units over the summer semester or you have that reduced full-time equivalency and you're hitting that, we will not pay for your fees over the summer semester. The exception is students that are receiving both the CPG and are in the Promise program, that CPG will probably cover their summer classes. The CPG doesn't require you to be a full-time student. It just requires you to be in A class. And so if you are eligible for that award, you can still take summer without any stress. But if you are not receiving the CPG and you need the Promise program to pay for the cost of your tuition, you'll want to make sure that you're in 12 units. You can always call us to talk about your eligibility for summer and kind of how fees work over the summer semester. But I really, really want to emphasize that if you are not receiving the CPG and need Promise to pay for your summer classes, I don't recommend taking them unless you can pay for them out of pocket or through the remaining balance of your financial aid from the academic year. Promise does not provide priority enrollment. In general, DSPS, EOPS, CalWORKs, homeless or foster youth, parents to children under the age of 17, active duty military or veterans, and then intercollegiate athletes will receive priority enrollment. Students can petition for priority enrollment. In general, it's going to be several months in advance of the start of the semester. So for context, fall courses began in August and students had to petition for priority by April. So it's usually several months in advance, and we try to announce that date on the Promise Canvas shell. Promise does not pay for transit passes or parking permits. So students that need to get MTS assistance or parking permit assistance should contact the Basic Needs Center or the EOPS office for assistance with that. We do have lots of events. Here's just like a quick snapshot of what we kind of did over the last semester. We do a lot. We do a lot of different stuff. We do coloring events, de-stress events, student success events, academic tips events, how to study, how to reach out to a professor, all this stuff. We try to make sure that there's a lot of stuff that you can go to and participate in while you're here at City, and you can learn about it by following us on social media. I will say we post on Instagram probably more than any of the other platforms. So if you do have an Instagram account, follow us at SD Promise City. We do also post helpful guides on our Promise Promise YouTube. I think that YouTube handle needs to be updated, so I will make sure to add that to any comments or edits in the post-production of this video. But just know that you can follow us on social media to stay tuned in. You can also contact us. We have a phone line, a text line, an email, and of course our office. We always encourage you to come in and see us in person. I think it's the best way to engage with our staff and to make sure that you get your answers quickly and specifically to you. But of course, you can always call us, leave us a voicemail if we're unable to answer, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And finally, let's test your knowledge. So for those of you that are going to be doing this virtual meeting, we do have a quiz that's going to be attached to this video so that you can get credit. Make sure to submit that form completely in order for us to go into our system and classify you as having completed the orientation. We will not be doing a live presentation of the test today, but it's going to be a really quick quiz. I believe it consists of 15 questions, and you'll be all good to go. So thank you so much for your time. Again, if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out. We're here to support you. We're rooting for you. We want to see you achieve your dreams and goals. And I really want to emphasize that you belong here. So hopefully this presentation was helpful to you. I hope you got a good amount out of it. This was made by students for students.